people, service for Ignatius is to be in companionship with Jesus or to be in a relationship with God. And out of that relationship and from that companionship will flow service. Now, where do I get this idea of Ignatius's understanding of service, that is companionship or a relationship? I will talk about this again sometime later, but right now I'd like to share with you one of Ignatius's landmark experiences that he has in a little chapel at La Storta. La Storta is a chapel that is a few miles outside Rome. So Ignatius is here on his way to Rome to offer himself to the Pope. And as he enters that little chapel, he has a vision. And in that vision, he sees God the Father talking to Jesus, carrying his cross. And this is what he says to Jesus: "I want you to take this man as your companion." And Jesus turns to Ignatius and says, "I want you to serve us." In this little conversation or this little dialogue between the Father and Jesus, we get a profound understanding of what Ignatian service is all about. I want you to take this man as your companion. I want you to serve us. And so Ignatian service is companionship. Ignatian service is a relationship with God. Ignatian service is not doing things for others, but Ignatian service is a being in a relationship with God. Having said that, there is a deeper understanding of Ignatian service. Ignatian service is a relationship of love, or being in love with God. And one important part of what we find in the Ignatian writings and in the Ignatian experience is this: that the challenge of love is not to love, but the challenge of love is to learn to receive love. I like to repeat that because it is important. The challenge of a loving relationship is not to love, but the real challenge of a loving relationship is to allow ourselves to receive love. Because the only love that we can give other people is the love that we have allowed ourselves to receive. And that love which we have allowed ourselves to receive will flow spontaneously to other people without any discrimination, without counting the cost, without keeping a record, or without looking for a reward. All other kinds of love, perhaps, would be selfish manipulation. All other kinds of love, perhaps, would be counterproductive. All other forms of love will perhaps be more destructive than constructive. All other kinds of love, perhaps, will sometime make us feel or say to ourselves, or even say it aloud, after all that I have done, is this what I get in return? Perhaps the answer would be yes. But the love that we receive, allow ourselves to receive from God, that comes through us through 100,000 different ways, is that love that will flow spontaneously to the rest of the world. Well, to help us to understand this, I'd like to use an example from maybe the married life. Sometimes I chuckle when I reflect on the marriage vows that two Catholics make in public, and this is what they profess. When they come to the church and they share their marriage vows, by the way, do not include honoring, loving, respecting their mother-in-law. That's not part of the formula. The marriage vows do not include loving, honoring, and respecting the crazy relatives of their spouse. And what is frightening is this, or what is amazing is this, that the marriage vows do not even include honoring, loving.